Every Roman soldier got paid for something more important than his sword. Not bronze, not iron, something you've probably got sitting in your kitchen right now. Salt. And the money they got to buy it, that gave us the word that defines how billions of people make a living today. Salary. We toss the word around without thinking. Negotiate it, compare it, live for it. Behind this everyday word lies a 2,000-year-old story about survival, economics, and the weird way language keeps dead worlds alive. Salary doesn't come from Latin words for payment or work or money. It comes from sale, salt. The journey from Roman salt rations to your direct deposit shows how civilizations decide what's worth staying alive for and how those decisions get fossilized in language. This goes beyond etymology. It shows how ancient ideas about work and worth still shape our thinking, buried so deep we don't even notice. We say someone's worth their salt, still use it, but we've completely forgotten why salt was worth anything at all. To understand why Roman soldiers were paid salt money, you need to grasp what salt meant back then. Forget that white stuff you shake on fries. In the ancient world, salt wasn't seasoning. Salt was life. Salt kept meat fresh through Mediterranean summers that hit 100+ degrees, kept vegetables edible through winters when fresh food vanished for months. Without salt, armies couldn't march more than a few days from base. Without salt, cities couldn't grow bigger than their local farms could feed. Salt was the technology that made civilization possible. The Latin word salarium shows up in Roman texts from sal for salt plus arium, meaning connected to. But Roman historians themselves couldn't agree what salarium actually meant. Pliny the Elder mentions Roman soldiers and salt around 77 CE, though he's writing about stuff that happened centuries before he was born. Pliny often oversimplified complex topics. Other sources suggest something trickier, that salarium meant the money soldiers got specifically to buy salt, not payment in salt. The difference matters more than you'd think. Direct salt payment suggests barter economy, stuff as currency. Salt money suggests something more sophisticated, itemized military budgets where different expenses got their own line items. The evidence points towards the second interpretation. Roman military records show detailed pay breakdowns: basic, stipendium, regular wages, equipment money, food money, clothing money, and specific allocations for essential supplies, including salt. Salarium wasn't the soldier's whole paycheck. It was one piece of a complex military budget. But why did salt need its own budget line? Roman armies operated everywhere, German forests to North African deserts. Local salt varied wildly in quality and availability. Mediterranean sea salt was prized for purity, but inland armies had to use rock salt or salt springs, often contaminated. Bad taste, worse preservation. The Via Salaria salt road ran from Rome towards the Adriatic coast, built specifically to haul salt from coastal salt pans to the capital. This wasn't just any road. One of Rome's first major infrastructure projects started 4th century BCE because controlling salt meant controlling people. Cities without reliable salt simply couldn't grow. Salarium appears across Roman society, not just military. Magistrates got it, temple officials, other public servants. This suggests the salt connection runs deeper than army logistics. In early Roman society, salt marked social status. Rich people ate high-quality sea salt. Poor people made do with bitter rock salt or went without. When Rome started paying officials salarium, salt money, it wasn't just covering necessities. It was ensuring public servants could maintain the dignity their jobs required. Look at linguistic cousins across cultures. Ancient Greek had satyrion for wages, literally grain money. Sanskrit had namaka vetana, salt wages for ritual payments. Chinese Han Dynasty texts mention yanlu, salt road payments for trade route officials. Same pattern everywhere. Wage words come from preservation words. This reveals something unexpected about how ancient people thought about value. Modern economics says money is medium of exchange, unit of account, store of value. But for pre-industrial folks, money was more visceral, purchasing power over things that kept you alive through the next winter, drought, siege. Roman poet Horace, writing 1st century BCE, used salarium in a way that shows this deeper meaning. In his satires, he describes a corrupt official who earned his salarium through bribery and extortion. But the word choice is deliberate. Horace isn't just saying the guy got paid money, he's saying the man earned his salt, his fundamental right to survival, through corruption. The moral weight reflects the life or death importance of what salarium represented. As Roman power expanded, so did salarium's meaning. By the 2nd century CE, Roman legal texts use it for everyone from provincial governors to aqueduct workers. The word evolved from salt money to regular institutional payment, but it kept its connotations of essential support, payment covering not just work but basic human dignity. The shift from Latin salarium to Old French salaire happened during the 6th and 7th centuries as Rome fragmented and Latin became the Romance languages. Something interesting happened during this change. French salaire lost its connection to salt, sal became sel, but salaire stayed salaire, etymology obscured by sound change. When Normans brought salaire into Middle English as salary in the late 13th century, English speakers had zero intuitive connection between the word and salt. Unlike French speakers, who might still catch sal in salaire, English speakers got the word as a complete unit, internal structure invisible. This linguistic accident preserved an ancient Roman concept in amber, unchanged by centuries of cultural evolution. By the 19th century, salary had undergone semantic narrowing that would have puzzled Romans, where salarium once covered any regular institutional payment, temple offerings to military allowances. English salary became specifically white-collar, professional. Manual laborers got wages, hourly or piece rate. Professionals got salaries, monthly or annual. This distinction reflects class hierarchy Romans would recognize, but organized differently. Roman salarium was about social position within institutions, military, religious, administrative. Modern salary is about credentials and professional status. Both systems use payment structure to signal social worth, but the criteria shifted from institutional role to individual achievement. Salt idioms in English show how deep this ancient connection goes. Worth their salt, salt of the earth, take with a grain of salt. These phrases carry forward an understanding of salt as fundamental value measure, even though most English speakers have no clue why salt should be valuable. Modern Japanese borrowed English salary as salaryman for archetypal white-collar workers. But Japanese also kept an older concept, kyuyo, literally provision giving, which captures something closer to Roman salarium, payment ensuring survival and dignity. The linguistic borrowing shows how different cultures organize the same basic need, regular payment for regular work, according to their own social logic. The salary story illuminates a broader truth about how language preserves and transforms cultural memory. Words aren't just arbitrary sound-meaning pairs, they're archaeological sites, layered with historical sediment. When we say salary, we're invoking a transmission chain stretching back through medieval French scribes, Roman bureaucrats, ultimately to Mediterranean salt traders who knew that controlling preservation meant controlling civilization. This linguistic archaeology matters because it exposes assumptions we didn't know we held. The Roman salt salary connection embedded in our language, the idea that regular payment should cover not just immediate needs but long-term security, ability to preserve resources against future uncertainty. Modern debates about living wages, salary versus hourly, gig economy are arguments about whether we still believe payment should function like Roman salarium, ensuring not just survival but social dignity and future security. Salary survived Rome's fall, feudalism's rise, industrial revolution, digital age because it captures something essential about the relationship between work and human worth. It suggests regular payment isn't just economic transaction, it's social contract, ensuring contributors to collective enterprises can maintain their community place. Every month, when your salary hits your account, you're participating in a ritual that stretches back to Roman soldiers getting salt allowances on the Via Salaria. Technology changed. Digital transfers instead of silver coins, refrigeration instead of salt preservation, but the underlying promise stays the same. Regular work deserves regular payment covering not just immediate needs but fundamental human requirements, security, dignity, a stake in the future. Romans understood civilization depends on keeping this promise. The fact we still use their words suggests we haven't totally forgotten. Whether we still believe it? Well, that's a question every paycheck asks, and every society has to answer.